The NHL draft, like many things in sports, has exploded in popularity. Teams fans love it for the simple fact that it can reignite their chances of winning with the announcement of a single name. However, the draft wasn't always on top of people's priority lists, and that's a big reason why a lot of you don't know who Gary Monahan is. Hockey Central's Jeff Merrick explains.
The hype and hoopla of this weekend's NHL draft in Pittsburgh is a long way from Vancouver, where Gary Monahan makes his living selling real estate. The signs that feature his name provide more publicity than he received nearly a half-century ago when the Montreal Canadiens made him the first pick of the first NHL draft. As a 16-year-old growing up in Toronto, not even Monahan knew he'd make history. In fact, he didn't even know what the draft was.
Sammy Pollock phoned me after the draft took place and said to my dad, "We've drafted Gary to the Montreal Canadiens." Well, he didn't know what they were talking about, nor did I. We didn't understand the word draft. We were thinking maybe the military. That's how little publicity it got that first day, that first draft. It was just all so new. I thought, wow, this is out of the blue. I had no thoughts about the NHL or, again, I was sort of a second, third line guy playing with my older brother, so I never thought about stardom until I got to Peterborough.
He played 3 seasons in Peterborough, the Canadiens' junior affiliate at the time, before making his debut with the Canadiens in the 67-68 season as a 19-year-old.
I sat at the end of the bench in the Montreal Forum for the first 2.5 periods. Finally, Jean Beliveau scored to make it 4-1, if my recollection is right, against Boston. So Toe came down and said, "Okay, Monahan, I think it's safe now to put you out there in the middle of the third period." So out I went, took Jean Beliveau off. About 10 seconds later, I was behind our net as a centerman with the puck, like a defenseman. I'm not sure what I was doing there, but I was so nervous. I was out of breath. My legs were tight from having sat on the bench for so long. And I saw Shack coming at me, Eddie Shack from Boston. And so I threw the puck around the boards, much like a defenseman might do. Eddie Shack came at me. I braced myself. We hit. We both went down to our knees. As I stood up, the puck came back around the glass. I guess their defenseman must have got it and fired it back around the glass. It came off the glass and it hit me square on the eye. It took me off on a stretcher, and that was a 10-second debut, which was an auspicious beginning in the NHL.
Monahan didn't stay long in Montreal, but did play more than 700 games in the NHL, the bulk with Toronto and Vancouver in the 70s.
Yeah, right in front of the Monahan shot, scores! Gary Monahan from Keon and McMillan.
Now 65, Monahan sees today's NHL draft as the entirely different beast that it is. He was one of just 21 players chosen in 1963, compared to the more than 200 chosen this past weekend. But while he's glad he missed the scrutiny today's juniors are put through, there is always one tinge of regret when it comes to today's economics.
It's changed tremendously, of course. The NHL teams were totally in the driver's seat then. We had no idea about signing bonuses and obviously no leverage. I mean, there I was in Peterborough basically before I knew it, and so there was no bargaining power, for example. But now, of course, it's totally different with the money and the exposure and the pressure, I suppose. But anyway, we forged the way, and it was a great beginning, and I've had a great life, so I can't complain about the fact that the money was so small then compared to now.